A dusty photograph fell from between the pages of the leather-bound journal, like a secret finally ready to be told. A historian specializing in early 20th century American society caught it before it could flutter to the floor of the Chicago Historical Society's archive room. The afternoon light streaming through the tall windows illuminated the sepia-toned image, revealing 11 people arranged formally on the front steps of what appeared to be a grand Victorian mansion. Wedding party, 1907, read the faded inscription on the back in careful cursive handwriting. The Whitmore estate, Newport, Rhode Island. The researcher adjusted reading glasses and studied the photograph more closely. The bride stood radiant in an elaborate white gown with intricate beadwork, her veil cascading down the steps. The groom, tall and distinguished in his morning coat, smiled proudly beside her. Family members and wedding guests flanked them in their finest attire. The women in high-necked dresses with elaborate hats adorned with feathers and flowers, the men sporting well-groomed mustaches and formal suits with pocket watches gleaming from their vests. Everything about the photograph spoke of wealth, respectability, and the social customs of America's Gilded Age elite. The Whitmore name would prove familiar to historians, a family prominent in Newport's summer colony, where New York's wealthiest families built their cottages, mansions that rivaled European palaces in their opulence. But as trained eyes moved across the faces in the photograph, something seemed impossible. In the back row, partially hidden behind the bride's father, stood a young woman in an elegant dark dress. Her posture was perfect, her clothing impeccable, her smile appropriately demure for the formal occasion. Yet there was something about her eyes that defied the photographic technology of 1907. A magnifying glass revealed the extraordinary detail that would launch a months-long investigation. The woman's left eye appeared to be a deep brown, rich and warm in the sepia tones. But her right eye was startlingly different, a brilliant, pale blue that seemed to capture and reflect, light with an intensity that should have been impossible to achieve with the primitive flash powder photography of the era. The contrast was so dramatic it appeared almost artificial, as if someone had hand-colored just one eye in the photograph after development, yet the effect seemed perfectly natural within the image itself. Enhanced examination only deepened the mystery surrounding the woman's extraordinary appearance. The heterochromia, different colored eyes, was dramatic enough to be medically fascinating, but the way it had been captured photographically seemed to challenge the technical limitations of 1907 camera equipment. Photography experts consulted about the image were baffled by the technical aspects. The sepia-toned photograph should have rendered all eyes in similar brown tones, yet this woman's blue eye maintained a luminous quality that seemed to glow against the monochromatic background. Flash powder photography of the era typically produced harsh, uniform lighting that flattened facial features and reduced color variations to shades of brown and amber. Dr. James Morrison, a photography historian at Harvard, specializing in early American portrait techniques, examined high-resolution scans of the image. "This is remarkable," he observed. "The way this woman's blue eye has been captured suggests either an extraordinary interaction between her specific eye pigmentation and the chemical composition of the flash powder, or photographic techniques far more advanced than what was available in 1907. The technical mystery was compounded by the woman's confident presence in the formal group. Heterochromia in 1907 would have been considered a highly unusual, even alarming physical trait. Most families would have kept individuals with such dramatic physical differences hidden from public view, particularly at important social events where appearances mattered immensely. Yet this woman appeared completely at ease, her posture and expression suggesting someone accustomed to social situations, despite her striking appearance. Her clothing was elegant and fashionable, indicating access to quality dressmaking, and her positioning within the wedding party suggested she held some significance to the family. Research into the technical possibilities of early photography revealed that achieving such dramatic color differentiation in a sepia photograph would have required either deliberate chemical manipulation during development, a complex and expensive process, or an extremely rare interaction between specific eye pigments and the magnesium-based flash powder used in professional photography of the era. The question remained, who was this woman, and why had someone gone to such extraordinary lengths to ensure her unique appearance was perfectly captured in what should have been a standard wedding portrait? Investigation into the Whitmore family revealed their position as one of Newport's most prominent dynasties. Edmund Whitmore had built his fortune through strategic railroad investments and steel manufacturing ventures, constructing the family's summer estate in 1895 as both a retreat and a statement of their arrival among America's social elite. The 1907 wedding between Edmund's eldest son Charles and Miss Victoria Ashford of New York had been extensively documented in society publications. Throughout New England, guest lists published in the Newport Daily News and Boston Herald featured names that represented the pinnacle of American wealth and social standing: Vanderbilts, Astors, and other industrial magnates who dominated the Gilded Age. Yet exhaustive research through these contemporary accounts yielded no mention of any woman with heterochromia among the wedding guests. This omission seemed particularly significant given the thorough social documentation of the era, where every notable attendee was typically identified and their family connections detailed for readers fascinated by high society. A visit to the Whitmore estate, now operating as a museum, provided access to the family's extensive photographic archive. Curator Mrs. Eleanor Hastings had spent decades cataloging the collection and possessed encyclopedic knowledge of the family's social connections and significant events. The 1907 wedding was certainly the social highlight of that season, Mrs. Hastings explained, examining the mysterious photograph. But I must say, I don't recognize this woman from any of our official documentation. Her condition would have been quite remarkable for the era, and definitely memorable. The official wedding photographs from the Whitmore family collection told a different story entirely. Multiple formal portraits taken during the same session from identical angles and with the same lighting setup showed no trace of the woman with heterochromia. Every other guest appeared consistently across the various shots, but she was present in only the single photograph that had surfaced at the Chicago Historical Society. These were all taken within minutes of each other, Mrs. Hastings noted, comparing the images carefully. Same photographer, same positioning, same lighting conditions. It's almost as if she appeared for just one exposure and then vanished. The implications were troubling. Either the woman had deliberately been excluded from the official family documentation, or the single surviving photograph represented something far more complex than a standard wedding portrait. The search for answers led to the archives of Carleton and Sons Photography, Newport's most prestigious portrait studio during the Gilded Age. Founded in 1885 by master photographer Charles Carleton, the studio had built its reputation, serving the wealthy summer colony residents, who demanded the finest technical quality and absolute discretion. In their social documentation studio, records from June 1907 detailed the Whitmore wedding assignment with characteristic precision. Full-day coverage, arrival 9 a.m., ceremony 2 p.m., reception portraits 4 p.m., departure 8 p.m. Staff, C. Carleton, primary, H. Carleton, assistant, J. Morrison, equipment. However, a marginal notation in different handwriting provided the first clue to the mystery. A special portrait session, unusual. Subject, additional compensation requested, separate processing, required. Further investigation uncovered. Correspondence between the studio and the Whitmore family that shed light on the unusual circumstances. A letter from Charles Carleton to Edmund Whitmore, dated June 18, 1907, revealed crucial information. Dear Mr. Whitmore, I write to inform you of an extraordinary situation that arose during our recent photography session. One of your guests possessed a medical condition creating the most remarkable visual effect I have encountered in 20 years of professional photography. Her heterochromia, combined with specific lighting conditions, produced results that are both scientifically fascinating and artistically unprecedented. The letter continued. The young lady's blue eye interacted with our flash powder in a manner that created an almost luminescent quality in the photograph. While medically documented cases of heterochromia exist, I've never witnessed such dramatic color variation captured so vividly in portraiture. The technical achievement represents a significant advancement in our understanding of how different eye pigmentations respond to chemical flash photography. Edmund Whitmore's response, preserved in the studio files, was telling, Mr. Carleton, while we appreciate the technical significance of your work, we must request that this particular image remain separate from our official wedding documentation. The young lady's condition, while remarkable, should not overshadow our family celebration. We trust your professional discretion in this delicate matter. The correspondence revealed that the photograph had been deliberately excluded from the family's official collection, not destroyed, but set aside as a technical curiosity rather than a social document. Professional genealogists, specializing in Gilded Age Society, were enlisted to trace the identity of the mysterious woman through passenger manifests, hotel registries, and social correspondence from Newport's 1907 season. The search proved more challenging than expected, as her striking appearance should have made her memorable to contemporary observers. Dr. Sarah Blackwood, an expert in period family research, discovered the first significant lead in Victoria Ashford's personal papers at the New York Historical Society. The bride's handwritten guest list, preserved among her pre-wedding correspondence, contained a name that had been carefully crossed out with different ink. Miss Helena Chambers, Boston. Medical College, special consideration. The phrase special consideration was significant in 1907 social planning, typically indicating guests who required particular accommodation due to physical, social, or financial circumstances. The connection to Boston Medical College suggested professional rather than purely social reasons for the invitation. Research into Boston Medical College records from 1906-1907 revealed a female student named Helena Chambers enrolled in the school's pioneering program for training medical illustrators. This program, one of the first in America to admit women, focused on creating detailed anatomical drawings for medical textbooks and research publications. The college's archives contained a faculty evaluation of Helena Chambers that provided crucial insight. Miss Chambers possesses extraordinary visual capabilities due to her unique condition. Her heterochromia provides her with exceptional color perception. Her brown eye excels at detecting subtle variations in skin tone and tissue coloration, while her blue eye demonstrates remarkable sensitivity to light and shadow variations. This combination makes her ideally suited for precise medical illustration work. Dr. William Thornton, the program director, had written extensively about Helena's abilities in his correspondence with medical publishers. Miss Chambers' condition, rather than being a limitation, represents a remarkable advantage in anatomical illustration. Her different eye colors process visual information in complementary ways, allowing her to capture details that escape conventional observation. The connection to the Whitmore wedding became clearer through additional correspondence. Edmund Whitmore had been a significant benefactor of Boston Medical College's research programs, particularly those focused on advancing medical education and illustration. Helena Chambers' invitation to the wedding had been Dr. Thornton's suggestion, recognizing both her exceptional abilities and Whitmore's interest in supporting pioneering medical education access to the Whitmore Estate's restricted archives, provided the missing context for Helena Chambers' presence at the 1907 wedding. Family correspondence revealed a complex web of medical philanthropy, professional recognition, and social obligation that explained her unusual inclusion among Newport's elite. A letter from Dr. Thornton to Edmund Whitmore, dated May 15, 1907, outlined the reasoning behind Helena's invitation. Mr. Whitmore, your generous support of our medical illustration program has enabled extraordinary advances in anatomical education. Miss Chambers, whose unique visual capabilities have contributed immeasurably to our work, represents the finest example of how physical differences can become professional advantages. Her presence at your son's wedding would honor both her achievements and your commitment to progressive medical education. Victoria Ashford's private correspondence with her sister revealed her initial concerns about including Helena. Father Whitmore has insisted we invite the medical college's most accomplished illustrator. While her professional achievements are remarkable, her appearance is quite striking. Mother worries about the social implications, but Father maintains that recognizing exceptional ability transcends conventional social boundaries. Helena's own letter to Dr. Thornton, written after receiving the invitation, demonstrated her awareness of the situation's complexity. Dear Dr. Thornton, I am deeply honored by the Whitmore family's gracious invitation, though I confess some anxiety about attending such a prestigious social gathering. My condition has always drawn attention, and I fear becoming a distraction from the joyous occasion. However, your encouragement and the family's apparent willingness to look beyond conventional appearances give me hope. The most revealing document was Edmund Whitmore's response to his wife's concerns about Helena's presence. Written the week before the wedding, it articulated his philosophy about merit and recognition. My dear Margaret, we have built our fortune through recognizing exceptional ability wherever it may be found. Miss Chambers' unique vision has advanced medical science in ways that conventional sight could never achieve. If we are to be remembered as more than mere accumulation of wealth, we must use our influence to celebrate human potential in all its forms. A final letter from Helena to her family, written the day after the wedding, provided her perspective on the experience. The kindness shown to me by the Whitmore family exceeded my every expectation. While my appearance did draw some stares and whispered comments, their warm reception made me feel valued for my contributions, rather than defined by my differences. The photographer seemed particularly fascinated by the way light interacted with my eyes, spending considerable time ensuring the technical quality of my portrait. Consultation with modern ophthalmologists and medical historians provided scientific context for Helena Chambers' remarkable visual capabilities and their practical applications in early 20th century medical illustration. Dr. Rebecca Martinez, a specialist in genetic eye conditions, analyzed the historical documents and enhanced photographs to understand the full extent of Helena's unique abilities. Complete heterochromia, particularly this dramatic brown to blue variation, occurs in fewer than 1% of the population, Dr. Martinez explained. But what made Helena's case extraordinary was not just the color difference, but the functional advantages it provided for detailed visual work. Research into the physiology of heterochromia revealed why Helena's condition was so valuable for medical illustration. Brown eyes excel at detecting subtle variations in warm colors, reds, yellows, and flesh tones, while blue eyes demonstrate superior sensitivity to cool colors and light variations, Dr. Martinez continued. Helena essentially possessed specialized vision optimized for the precise color discrimination required in anatomical drawing. The interaction between her, heterochromia, and early flash photography created the dramatic effect captured in the wedding photograph. Magnesium flash powder produced intense white light with specific spectral characteristics, explained photography historian Dr. James Morrison. Helena's blue eye would have reflected this light differently than her brown eye, creating the luminescent effect that seemed impossible for 1907 technology. Dr. William Chen, a medical historian at Harvard Medical School, researched Helena's contributions to medical illustration during her time at Boston Medical College. Her anatomical drawings, preserved in the college archives, demonstrate extraordinary precision in depicting tissue variations, vascular patterns, and subtle pathological changes. Contemporary medical texts credited her illustrations with advancing understanding of several conditions precisely because she could visually detect details that other illustrators missed. A 1908 article in the Journal of Medical Education specifically praised Helena's work. Miss Chambers' unique visual capabilities have revolutionized anatomical illustration at Boston Medical College. Her ability to perceive and accurately reproduce subtle color, variations in diseased versus healthy tissue has contributed significantly to diagnostic education. The article continued, rather than viewing her heterochromia as a physical anomaly, the medical community has recognized it as a remarkable adaptation that enhances rather than limits her professional capabilities. Her success challenges conventional assumptions about physical differences and their impact on individual potential. Tracing Helena Chambers' life revealed a remarkable story of turning a physical difference into professional advantage during an era when such variations were typically hidden or stigmatized. Born in 1883 to a middle-class Boston family, Helena's heterochromia had initially been a source of family concern and social difficulty. Early school records from the Boston public school system documented both the challenges and opportunities her condition created. Helena's appearance draws considerable attention from other students, noted her teachers in 1899, but her exceptional observational abilities and artistic talents are undeniable. She notices details in nature and art that escape her classmates' attention entirely. Her path to Boston Medical College began through art classes at the Boston Women's Educational Association, where instructor Miss Sarah Williams recognized Helena's extraordinary visual capabilities. The young lady's unique vision allows her to perceive color relationships and subtle variations that represent a genuine gift for artistic work. Miss Williams wrote in her recommendation letter to the medical college, Helena's admission to Boston Medical College's medical illustration program in 1906 represented a significant achievement for both her personally and the institution. The program, established just 2 years earlier, was one of the first in America to formally train medical illustrators and among the earliest to admit women to professional medical education. Her academic work quickly distinguished her among her peers. Faculty evaluations consistently praised her technical precision and innovative approaches to depicting anatomical structures. Dr. Harrison Blackwell, professor of anatomy, wrote, Miss Chambers' illustrations capture subtleties of tissue variation and pathological changes with accuracy that surpasses even photographic documentation. Her heterochromia, rather than being a limitation, provides her with visual capabilities ideally suited to medical illustration. By 1907, Helena's work was being used in medical textbooks published by several major companies. Her illustrations of cardiovascular systems, nervous tissue, and pathological conditions were praised for their scientific accuracy and artistic clarity. Publishers specifically requested her services for projects requiring the most precise color discrimination and detail. Detection, the invitation to the Whitmore wedding represented recognition not just of her artistic abilities, but of her role in advancing medical education through her unique visual capabilities. Her presence among Newport's social elite marked an unusual moment when professional merit transcended conventional social barriers. Contemporary accounts of the Whitmore-Ashford wedding, preserved in diaries and letters of the period, provided glimpses into Helena Chambers' experience as the most unusual guest at one of Newport's most prestigious social events. While most observers focused on the ceremony's grandeur, several noted the remarkable young woman whose appearance had clearly captured their attention. Mrs. Constance Vanderbilt's diary entry from June 15, 1907, offered a typical upper-class perspective. Among the wedding guests was a young woman whose striking appearance was quite impossible to ignore. Her eyes, one brown, one brilliant blue, created an almost mesmerizing effect. Victoria introduced her as someone involved with medical education in Boston. Despite her unusual appearance, her manners were impeccable and her conversation remarkably intelligent. The wedding photographer's detailed notes, preserved in the Carlton Studios archives, provided technical insight into capturing Helena's portrait. The subject's heterochromia presented the most fascinating photographic challenge of my career. Her brown eye photographed conventionally in our sepia process, but her blue eye interacted with the flash powder to create an almost luminescent effect. Rather than being a technical problem, this created an artistic result of extraordinary beauty and scientific interest. Helena's own account, in a letter to her mentor, Dr. Thornton, written the following day, revealed her perspective on the social dynamics of the event. The kindness extended to me by the Whitmore family was beyond my expectations, though I was certainly aware of the attention my appearance drew from other guests. Several ladies approached me with genuine curiosity about my work in medical illustration, while others maintained polite distance. The photographer seemed almost more excited about capturing my portrait than those of the bride and groom. She continued, "What moved me most deeply was Mr. Edmund Whitmore's toast during the reception, where he spoke about celebrating human potential in all its forms. While he didn't mention me specifically, his words about looking beyond conventional appearances to recognize true ability felt like a direct acknowledgement of why I had been invited. The contrast between Helena's inclusion in the single surviving photograph and her absence from the official wedding documentation reflected the complex social dynamics of the era. While the Whitmore family had recognized her professional achievements sufficiently to invite her, conventional social documentation still required her exclusion from the formal family record. Her brief appearance among Newport's elite represented a moment when individual merit temporarily transcended the rigid social hierarchies of Gilded Age America. The investigation into Helena Chambers and her remarkable appearance at the 1907 Whitmore wedding illuminated broader themes about recognition, achievement, and the gradual evolution of social attitudes toward physical differences in early 20th century America. What had begun as a photographic mystery revealed itself as documentation of a pioneering moment in both medical education and social inclusion. Further research uncovered Helena's continued success in medical illustration following the wedding. Her work appeared in major medical textbooks throughout the 1910s, with publishers specifically noting her exceptional color accuracy and detail perception. The American Journal of Medical Education published a feature article about her in 1912, titled Extraordinary Vision: How Physical Difference Advances Medical Science. Boston Medical College's annual reports from 1907 to 1920 frequently cited Helena's contributions to anatomical education and her role in establishing medical illustration as a legitimate professional field. Her success helped pave the way for other women entering medical education and for broader acceptance that physical differences could represent advantages rather than limitations. The photograph that launched the investigation took on new significance, as historians recognized it as rare documentation of early 20th century social progress. Rather than capturing something impossible or supernatural, it preserved evidence of a moment when professional merit began to challenge conventional social barriers. Modern experts in disability history found inspiration in Helena's story. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, who studies the historical treatment of individuals with visible differences, noted, Helena Chambers' success in medical illustration and her inclusion in high society events represents a remarkable example of how individual achievement could transcend physical prejudices. Even in 1907, the Whitmore family's recognition of Helena's abilities, despite social conventions that would typically have excluded her, demonstrated progressive thinking that presaged later developments in civil rights and disability acceptance. Edmund Whitmore's correspondence revealed his belief that true social advancement required recognizing human potential regardless of conventional appearances. The mysterious photograph, once an unexplained anomaly, became a testament to both scientific advancement and social courage. Helena Chambers' luminous heterochromia, rather than being wrong or impossible, represented something beautiful about the diversity of human capability and the power of individual achievement to challenge established norms. Her story reminds us that behind every historical mystery lies a human truth about resilience, recognition, and the ongoing struggle to value people for their contributions rather than their conformity to conventional expectations. The Impossible Eyes had revealed the most human story of all, that extraordinary vision, in every sense, can illuminate new possibilities for understanding and acceptance.